What's going on, people? Welcome back to Curtis Shaw TV, back with another Friday live stream as we preview a very, very big weekend for Arsenal as we play against Sean Dyche's Everton, who, listen, that game is a lot more difficult than it looks on paper. But obviously, Manchester City go to Tottenham on Sunday, and we were all kind of maybe hoping that, you know, the old enemy can do a bit of a favour for us, although, as I said the other weekend, I don't think we should ever rely on them to do us a favour. They were 2-0 up at Man City and still threw it away. Big up to everyone tuned in. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel. Make sure you follow the Clips channel, Curtis Shaw Clips live now as well. I think we're on nearly 900 subs on there. If we can get that to 1,000 over the weekend, that would be great news, people. Big up to each and every one of you. Hope you're well. Friday business, the weekend is here, Premier League football is back, transfer window is closed. We know what we've got now. For everyone who tuned in yesterday, I calmed down a little bit from the previous couple of days when I wasn't happy with our final bit of business, but at the end of the day, we'll see where we are at the end of the season. If we win the Premier League, you look back on January and say it was smart business. If we fall short, then we'll have to, you know, open up an inquest into what happened. So, big up to you. It's Friday then. It's Saturday, Sunday. Come on, Arsenal. Let's go to Everton. Early kickoff tomorrow, by the way. 12:30 kickoff UK time. I'll be live 11:45 a.m. tomorrow. So, it's an early one, which I don't particularly love the early kickoffs. I always think we're not quite at it. But on the flip side, it's good to get the game out of the way and then you can put the pressure back on everyone else, you know. Right, let's get into today's show. We've got a few bits to talk about. Post the clips on YouTube Shorts. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put some of the shorter ones on YouTube Shorts on this channel. And then some of the slightly longer clips will be on Curtis Shaw Clips. So, yeah, we're going to do both. We've got to attack that short game. I just said, your thumbnail looks so crisp and professional. I thought it was AFTV at first. Big up the professional Curtis. Trust the process. We're building, people. You know what I mean? We're building. We all start off as amateurs and you build your way up. You know, that's the whole point. So big up to you, bro. Anyway, let's get into the show. Good luck to Willian tonight against Chelsea. We're not interested in that anyway. Mid-table mayhem. Fighting for 10th and Conference League. I ain't interested in none of that. Chelsea against Fulham tonight, people. But this man, he's done it again, people. Another one. DJ Khaled. He's done another one, people. Mikel Arteta with his third manager of the month. Another one for the manager. I think they said Arsene Wenger's record was 2 in a season. Arteta's got 3. By the start of February. You've still got February, March, April, May. You've still got 4 more to play for. Listen, we know Arsenal, Mikel Arteta, we're all on the road to success. It's about getting to the end of that road, you know. Best here in the Prem, says Kembo. Not a here out of place. Brill cream settings. It's what we want is Mikel Arteta to win manager of the season. Because ultimately, if Arsenal win the Premier League, he wins manager of the season. And that's kind of how it goes, you know. So I don't get too hyped up on manager of the months. I like it because it means he's doing well. Coleman Music business is thriving right now. But I want to see him holding manager of the season. I want to see him holding up the Premier League trophy. You have to wonder how Arsene Wenger went invincible. And yet he only won 2 manager of the months in that season. And yet Mikel Arteta has won 3. What was they dealing with there? You know, Alex Ferguson had the Premier League, you know, in the palm of his hand. He was probably getting manager of the month even when United were second. Because how do you go invincible and not win manager of the month more than 3 times? Anyway, it is what it is. Mikel Arteta, manager of the month again. Congratulations to him. Something's going right, and let's hope it continues. Let's hope we win the title. Man said it's Dax wax. Yeah, man's got the Dax in there, you know. And Marcus Rashford won Player of the Month. I think Odegaard and Saka were in the running for that as well. But Rashford, of course, had a great month. And he won Player of the Month. Big up Fitz, who said Wenger drew a lot of games. Yeah, I think we drew 12 that season. But still sounds crazy how Wenger, in all those great years, he's won the double, he's been invincible. The man only won 2 Manager of the Months in a season. Anthony said Wenger, only getting 2 in one season is criminal, especially when you think how good we were in 98, 02, 03, and especially 04. Travesty, but well done to Mikel Arteta. I think it was Fergie, man, honestly. Fergie literally had the FA in his hand. He was probably telling them who to give Manager of the Month to. It wouldn't surprise me. Lucas said, big up Curtis, how are you today? I think it's fantastic to see Martinelli signing a new deal. Was wondering, did you get my email? I did get your email. I saw you asking about a collab. I will get back to you, Luca. Big up to you. And keep doing your thing on your channel as well, bro. And you've led me in nicely there. Let's start talking about Gabriel Martinelli, who... Listen, that's why I've put him on the green screen today. He's put pen to paper. We've known about this for a couple of weeks. Ornstein dropped the bomb and all of that business, but it's official. Pen has been put to paper. Gabriel Martinelli tweeted this morning, the journey continues. I'm so proud to have signed another contract with the Arsenal family. From the moment I joined the staff, my teammates and the supporters have made me feel at home. I'm excited for what the future holds at this special club. The Brazilian maestro, a superstar in the making, in my opinion. Let me get the picture up of him signing his contract. Gabriel Martinelli. And just the details, people. Martinelli has signed a 4.5-year contract with an option of a further year. The option is Arsenal's option. So he signed a contract until the summer of 2027 with a 1-year option, which would take him to 2028. So he's tied down, he's secure, he should be at the club for a long time. Yeah, like Wasim said, if Klopp starts flirting again, you're going to have to drop a real big bag of money on that table, man. Looking like a bag of money. Who was that? Was Rick Ross, wasn't it? Yeah, Maybach music, Coleman music. So I mean, it's all tied in. You're gonna have to drop a big bag of money. But listen, I agree with South London's finest. The world is his oyster. How good he can be is down to him. I think he's got the potential to be an absolute world beater. It's down to his development. It's down to the fact of, can he learn to play at different speeds? Everything can't be 100 miles an hour. Sometimes you got to slow down and think a little bit. I think he's a superstar in the making, and delighted. By the way, people, £180,000 a week. What do you make of that? 180 grand for Gabriel Martinelli for the next 4.5 years. I mean, it's a great contract for him, but it's also a great contract for us, because you've got to look at how much would it be to replace him. To replace him, Mudryk just cost 100 million euros. Martinelli's development is further down the line than Mudryk. He's been to the World Cup with Brazil, one of the world's best countries in terms of football. So I actually think Arsenal have got this at a good price. He's got a good deal as well, don't get me wrong. I believe he was on about 70 grand a week, so he's nearly trebled his wages. So had to get it done. We all know there's 2 more that we've got to get done. Bukayo Saka, William Saliba. As I've said before, and I don't want to start ITKing and saying I know this and that, I've heard for the last couple of months that Saka is pretty much done and dusted. I would expect Saka's wage to be higher than Martinelli's due to the fact he starts for England. He's been player of the season for Arsenal 2 years in a row. 200 grand a week is our highest paid player. That is Thomas Partey and Gabriel Jesus. I think Saka will get the same, or maybe even a little bit more than those two. Just for the fact he's 21, player of the year twice, starts right wing for England. I reckon Saka will be 200k plus, which a lot of you are saying. But listen, it's the going rate. We know English tax. How much would Saka go for if you sold him? You know, he'd go for over 100 million easily. Martinelli the same. So good business as far as I'm concerned. Bringing in new players, it's just as important to get players to commit and stay at the football club. Saliba, Saka, Martinelli, those guys are the future. Smith Rowe had signed a new deal before. I would imagine Saliba's contract, which seems to be the more tricky one, if I'm being honest. I think just for the simple fact that PSG, if you look at this centre-backs, Marquinhos is very good. No one else is great. Kimpembe, I don't think is great. Ramos is old. Madrid have got, Alaba and those guys who are approaching 30. I think we've got to get Saliba done quickly. That is the only one that does worry me a little bit. I can't lie. He said some positive things. I think, and I'm just gonna give my opinion, right? I think Saka was probably close to signing that deal before the World Cup. I think he's gone there, had a good World Cup, been named player of the season again, and I think his agent's probably gone, listen, we would have taken 180, but you need to hitch that up a little bit and get that up to 220. It wouldn't surprise me. Yeah, PSG did agree to sign Skriniar, which is a great point. So that takes a little bit of pressure off. I think Saliba will be around 180 as well, which I think he would accept. And I think Saka will probably be 2 to 220, which I've got no problem with, to be honest. People saying Enzo's new deal is around 300k a week. He hasn't done half of what Saka has done over a longer period of time, although he did have a very good World Cup. Jadon Sancho's on 300 grand a week. I think Phil Foden's deal is 220 grand a week. So great news. Martinelli, 4.5-year deal with an option of a further year, £180,000 a week. Great business. And let's get Saliba and Saka tied up and secure the long-term future, which is why I've thrown Martinelli on the green screen today, people. I'm going to get this little bit of controversy out the way. And I spoke about this the other day, and this is going to require a poll. And this is a little bit of me playing the audience a little bit. I'm going to share this next picture, and the simple question I'm asking you is, would you do it, people? Would you do it? And for those of you who are not looking, I'm going to give you 5 seconds. For those of you who are looking. For those of you who aren't, I'm simply asking the question, would you do it? We only have 3 centre mids at the football club. And for those who are tuning in, listening and not watching, Juventus are considering releasing Paul Pogba from his contract. He earns £280,000 a week and hasn't played one game for Juventus since joining them in the summer. Juventus are in massive financial problems, and he has 18 months left on his deal, and according to reports, Juventus are on the verge of paying him up and releasing him. Now, would you take Paul Pogba on a short-term deal? I'm not saying 3 years. I'm not saying 4 years. I'm saying maybe you sign him until the end of the season with an option of a further year when his Juventus contract was going to finish. I mean, depending on the injury situation and how far he is from being fit, I'm not going to lie, people. Pogba and Partey in midfield, I'm all for it, people. I'm all for it. Pogba on a free. I'd take him. I would take Paul Pogba on a free. I'm telling you. I would do it. He's better than Elneny. He's better than Lokonga. Short term. I don't think Arteta could handle him. I'm gonna keep it a buck. I don't think he could handle him. Pogba, Jorginho, Xhaka, Partey. We're seeing Odegaard's armpits in May, in my opinion. I'm putting it out there. The poll is out there. Curtis is giddy. I'm giddy. I can't lie. I can already see it, people. I can already see it. Pogba. It's Pogba. He's a boiled Arsenal fan, people. Bring him home. I'm coming home. I'm coming home. Tell the world I'm coming home. Let the rain wash away. I mean, listen, he might only play 5 games, but that might be enough. You just bring him off the bench. Pogba, just keep the ball. Keep it ticking. Partey will do the dirty work. Listen, you know me, I'm shameless. Depending on the injury situation, how long is he out for, right? And you don't have to give him a long contract. I'd give him a deal till the end of the season with a 1-year option. No, I'm being serious. I'm genuinely being serious. P. Diddy business on this Friday, people. Not even P. Diddy, man. I don't know what... Sean Diddy Coombs. I don't know where we're going. Pogba, short term, end of the season, bang. I will never bring he goes to Arsenal. Are we bringing him to... swag, man. I'm telling you. I'm here for it. I bet he goes to Madrid. Kroos and Modric getting on. Pogbamayang. Big up Curtis, I can't lie. Arsenal are getting too much better at tying the players down. It's decent. Give him a Jorginho contract. I'd rather have Danielson back. C. Diddy. Can't start, won't start. Come on, man. You know what I mean? We just need Mace in here now. We'll get the shiny suits on. C. Diddy, man. C. Diddy. Pogba will smack Arteta. People have this thing, don't they, that Pogba's, like, his attitude's not good. I don't really know. I don't really know if that's right. Has he got a bad attitude, or he's just a very out there character? Early streams are the best. Big up Big C, said Amaru. Big up yourself, bro. Disrupt the stability in the dressing room. No Diddy business. Send Pogba to Chelsea. They'll probably sign him anyway. They've signed everyone else, haven't they? But I thought I'd put that out there. Nottingham Forest yesterday signed Andre Ayew, I think. And obviously free transfers can still sign. More Pogba, more problems. Nah, that is quality. But the funny thing is, Anthony said I'd still take him. More Pogba, more problems, man. Oh, no, they ain't no from me. It's like the more Pogba we come across, the more Pogbas we see. B-I-G, B-O, B-B-N, no info for the, hip-hop season. Let me not rap too much before they copyright me, but I'm on it, man. More Pogba, more problems. His passing range is crazy, people. You just put him next to Thomas Partey and say, listen, just do his running and give him the ball. You know what I mean? I'm all in for it, people. But nah, let me know. Pogba to the carpet for free. I'd do it. Arteta wouldn't go anywhere near him with a barge pole. Let's be real. Deschamps loves him. Attitude issues are exaggerated. I think so as well. I think, right, and I'm saying this. I think we have this thing of flashy players, out there flashy players, have an attitude problem. In terms of, in the end, Aubameyang did. He turned up late. But people say, oh, Memphis Depay's got a bad attitude. He's in rap videos. But ultimately, he's the vice captain of Holland. He played for Barcelona. He's gone to Atletico. Simeone wouldn't put up with no rubbish. I think sometimes we have this thing that if you're a flashy character with flashy hairstyles and you drive big cars, oh, you're a problem in the dressing room. I don't always think that's the case. Pogba, I don't know if anybody saw in the World Cup that time when he did that team talk. Deschamps loves him as a leader. But listen, I don't think he ends up at Arsenal. I just wanted to cause a bit of Friday mayhem. Would you take Pogboom at the carpet? Depending on his injury problem, which obviously hasn't played all season. I mean, yeah, South London's part of it probably is. I think some of it in the media is, that's for sure. I remember hearing Danny Mills on TalkSport go, oh, and he's got, flashy blonde hair and that. And I'm like, so what's that got to do with his football attitude? And I remember Don Hutchinson saying, oh, I love Saka because, he just stays out of the press. He don't get in any trouble and blah, blah, blah. And I was thinking, well, hang on a minute. You didn't complain when Phil Foden was doing madness. I never heard the press complain when Rooney had grandmas in a hotel room or when Paul Gascoigne was doing madness. But let me not get too involved in that. We go off subject a little bit. You know how it goes. But Pogba to the carpet. Let me end the poll. Right, where we at? 55% of you say bring Pogboom to Arsenal. 45% say no. So you're pretty split. You're just slightly leaning towards taking him. But I don't think it happens. He probably, if he goes, he ends up maybe at maybe PSG or somewhere like that. I think PSG would welcome him. You never know. You might even see him at a Real Madrid. They've wanted him for a while. Isco, not for me. Isco 3-4 years ago, I would have taken him. He was a baller, but not now. I wouldn't take Isco, that is for sure. Remember Pennant back in the day? Yeah, I knew Jermaine Pennant growing up. He's a Nottingham boy as well. He did have a crazy lifestyle off the pitch, let me tell you. He's coming, Curtis. The poll has spoken. Pogba to the carpet. Get your shirt ready and practice your dabs, people. Chelsea would probably sign him. They've signed everyone else. Anyway, let's continue. Let's continue, people. Let's move on. So, Arteta, manager of the month, third time. Martinelli, new contract, 4.5 years, 180 grand. Pogba, would you take him on a free? I think the majority of you, well, 55% said yes. So, I'm going with the community. Bring him in. Anyway, let's get into some Cone Man music, some waffle settings, people. As I said, I will be skipping this if the waffle gets too heavy. It's just a little bit later than lunchtime. There's a big smile on his face. Damn, life is good, man. Working on the weekend, like usual. Way up in the deep end, like usual. Come on, let's go to Everton and clip Sean Dyche, you know. We eat bricks, we eat wood. We're coming for you, Mikel Arteta. Let's go for him. Let's go for him. 12:30 kickoff tomorrow. I'll be live 11:45 a.m. by the way. And I'm a little bit apprehensive about this game. I'm not going to lie, people. It's just, I feel like it's just going to be a scrappy, windy, horrible game. Their fans are going to be making a whole heap of noise. And Sean Dyche will have these man just 4-4-2, long ball. They're going to make life difficult. We got to go there and control the game. Otherwise, it's problems. Second from bottom, it's going to be a scrap. It's going to be a scrap. I hope we get an early goal to calm the nerves. Mikel Arteta's former club, of course, so he'll probably get a good reception from their fans. Let's hear what he had to say briefly. I'll skip it if the waffle gets too heavy, people. On Martinelli's new contract, he said, it's great news. We want to build all the talent and youth we have in the squad. It's great to see them happy and willing to commit. We want to do that for the future. He's a player with enormous potential. He still has so many things to improve, but already he's performing at a real high level. Yeah, could they actually play two up front? I think they've got Mopé and Calvert-Lewin. They could play those two if he wanted to just go old school, you know, 4-4-2. But you never know whether he will or not. Will Martinelli start on the left tomorrow, or will Trossard start? That's another interesting one on that left. On Martinelli's biggest area of growth, he said in all departments he can develop physically, mentally, and in terms of consistency and defensively. He can develop in the final third and in the spaces he occupies. His numbers can improve, and he's so willing, and that's the best thing. I think the thing with Gabriel Martinelli now is he needs to, and also with Saka, he needs to turn 10 goals a season into 15 to 20. If you look at the best wingers in the Premier League over the last few years, you look at Sterling and Sané when they was at Manchester City, you look at Salah and Mane at Liverpool and all these guys, they've managed to turn into 15 to 20 goal. I mean, with Salah at times, you're looking 25 to 30 goals. I think now Martinelli's got to start scoring 15 league goals a season. Rashford this season, what is the biggest difference in his game? He's scoring on a regular basis. Wingers now are almost like the strikers for teams now. A lot of the actual centre forwards are not scoring as many goals. They've become link-up players, apart from maybe your Haalands and your Kanes. So that's what I think he needs to add. Yeah, again, you're right. It is difficult for him because of Zinchenko becoming inverted. You look at a lot of those players who we're talking about. Salah constantly had Trent on the overlap. Mane constantly had Robertson. And as a winger, it makes a big difference because you pull the fullback out of the way and then it allows you to go 1v1. So, but yeah, that's what he needs to add. On any update on Saka and Saliba, he said part of the plan is to extend the contracts of our biggest talents. We are trying to do that. We have started with Gabby, which is good. The others will be done whenever we can. But we have to agree on whether there will be any problems with players committing their future to Arsenal. He said, I see everybody really happy. Really willing to continue. We have to meet everybody's expectations, and timing is key on that. It would be interesting, wouldn't it? What do we think is holding up Saka and Saliba? I'll tell you one thing that I've known to happen at clubs before, and I'm not saying this is happening at Arsenal, but it could happen. I've known situations where clubs have signed, the players sign the contract, the wage goes up, the signing on fee's been given, and they'll put the contract in the drawer and leave it. Because clubs, don't get it twisted, clubs love good PR, good publicity. Arsenal will go, right, announce Gabriel Martinelli just after the transfer window. Give it another 2 or 3 weeks, you drop Bukayo Saka's. Give it another few weeks, you drop Saliba. So it wouldn't surprise me if 1 or 2 of these deals are already done. Everything is publicity, PR and timing now. Clubs would not just announce 3 big contracts in quick succession. They'll want to keep them. From what I've heard, I'm pretty certain that Saka deal is done and dusted. Maybe they've had to up the wages a little bit due to the fact he had another, good World Cup. Maybe they would have said, not 180, we want 200, we want 220. If I'm Saka's agent, I'm probably going to Arsenal saying, Saka's probably your best player. Maybe some people would say Partey's better or this guy's better, but Saka's 21. He starts right wing for England. He would probably be the most valuable asset due to the English tax and all those type of things. So if I'm his agent, I'm actually saying I want him to be the highest paid player at the football club. So Saliba is the one. But he said a few positive things in interviews, so I'm a little more hopeful. On Thomas Partey's fitness, he said, that one is still a doubt. Let's see today how he comes in, and if he's able to train with the team or not. We will make a decision on that. Now, I've obviously put this on my title. Thomas Partey is a doubt for tomorrow. Some people are saying, well, Charles Watts says he's going to play. Listen, I'm going to take what Mikel Arteta says over Charles Watts. Obviously, he's saying it depends if he trains today or not. And if we read the next part, he said, is he ruled out? He said, it's not ruled out and it's nothing very significant, but it was significant enough to get him out of the Manchester City game, which for Thomas is unusual. Hopefully, he will be fine. So he ends it in a more positive way by saying, hopefully, he will be fine, which is good. And he could be playing mind games. Thomas Partey might have been declared fit and he wants to throw a little curveball to Sean Dyche, and I don't like your curveballs, by the way, Mikel Arteta. If Thomas Partey's playing, you let me know. Apologies for those with headphones on. I just can't help the Sean Dyche. I just kind of roll into that one. But let's hope he trains today. We know that managers do this. They like to tell the press a player might not be available, and then he ends up on the pitch at kickoff time. So if he's not available, we know what that means. The kangaroo penalty merchant might be making his debut. But hey, let's see. Personally, I really hope Thomas Partey is fit, right? And that's no disrespect to Jorginho. I don't think Everton away is the greatest of games to be making your debut. It's going to be an awkward game to play. I'd much rather he played at home in a game where I think we'll just control the game. So hopefully he'll be fine. Hopefully he'll train today. On Jorginho signing and when Arteta first targeted him, he said, many years ago, we knew that in this market, you have to adapt and you have to be flexible. You have to be ready for inconvenience. Now, without him saying it, and I'm just reading into this, I think he's probably hinting there, inconvenience. We couldn't get Caicedo over the finish line, and we've had to adapt and do something else, obviously, with Elneny being injured as well. We had one with the latest news on Mo's injury, and we needed a player in that position. He's a player I've always admired. He's a great character, and he's someone who is going to bring leadership and quality in that position. He's going to help the team a lot. Do you know one thing I'm looking at it? And like I said, on deadline day, I wasn't happy with Jorginho. I questioned the club. And on the stream yesterday, I've calmed down. I've tried to look at it in a more positive manner. We're top of the league. I'm trying to be optimistic, right? We'll judge it ultimately at the end of the season. What is interesting is that he refers to Jorginho as the replacement for Mohamed Elneny. So what I find interesting is, if we'd have got Caicedo done, and we still was able to get Jorginho, would we have signed both of them? Because that would have been a fantastic window for us. Because I'm just looking at it. Last week we had 3 centre mids and he said we didn't have enough. You've replaced Lokonga with Jorginho, so we still only have 3 centre mids. So he surely would be looking at Zinchenko as the fourth centre mid, and then you drop Tierney into left back. But I just wonder, would we have signed both of them if we'd agreed a deal for Caicedo? But hey, we'll never know, I suppose. I suppose we'll find out in the summer if he goes back for Caicedo. Personally, I think they'll go for Declan Rice ahead of Caicedo. Why did we not buy Danilo? I'm not sure. One minute he was a top target, the next minute we weren't interested. And he did well the other day for Forest against Man United. He looked quite good. Don said, Curtis, I think Arteta would have got Caicedo and Jorginho. I kind of think that as well. He does love Jorginho. He said he's a player I've always admired. Great character. He's someone who's going to bring leadership and quality in that position. He will help the team a lot. On how quickly it happened and if the deal was identified on Sunday and Monday, he said timing-wise it wasn't that late, but he's a player who's always been very close to our intentions to bring in. I mean, listen, we tried to sign him in 2020. Manchester City tried to sign him in 2018 when Arteta was the assistant manager. And as I said the other day, without harping on too much, if you look at successful teams in Spain and in Italy in particular, this kind of player, they consider him vital. A Busquets, a Jorginho, a Rodri, somebody, it's the person that keeps the game rotating. He will probably play more passes than any other Arsenal player when he plays. The game will completely go through him. Now, we know the weakness, unfortunately, of Jorginho. I know a few Chelsea fans. I spoke to them a bit more in detail about him, and most of us have seen him anyway. He is not very mobile. He's not very strong. He's not powerful in the tackle. Where he is good is he's press resistant. He rotates possession, and obviously very good at taking penalties. Like you said, DV, he's the conductor. Everything's going to go through him. I think in home games, especially where we dominate possession, he can be a vital player. And late on in games, when we're trying to just see games out, that's when I think he can be important. Where I think I would have concerns about him is where we're playing against an energetic, mobile midfield that's putting us on the back foot and he's being forced to defend a little bit more. That's when I think he struggles a little bit more. I think back to the Chelsea game this season, I felt like we overran them in midfield and he was part of that midfield. So I think he'll have games where he'll be very useful and games where you won't want him on the pitch. So it is what it is. On if Smith Rowe is available, he says not yet. Now that for me, listen, I'm not going to get carried away. I said this the other day about Smith Rowe. I'm not going to get carried away. He's had a big operation. Sometimes when you've had a big operation, you start to break down in other parts of your body and your legs. You get little injuries. It is starting to become a little bit of a concern for me with Smith Rowe. And I've got to be honest. This is a guy that we got very high hopes. He's 22 years of age. He's missed the whole season. He's played 15 minutes against Oxford and he's disappeared again. Just gone again. We haven't seen him since. Are you fit, bruv? I asked him, are you fit? The man said, yeah, he's not fit. And you know what? I like ESR. And this is why I'm so frustrated, because I think he would have a huge role to play in this run-in for us. He got 10 goals last season, a lot of them coming off the bench. I'm desperate to see this guy back on the pitch for us because we need the squad depth. It's disappointing. It really is. I don't think the club will sell him in the summer. I think they'll give him another season. But we need him back. We can't afford to have players of that quality not available. I hope, very much hope, this is not, another Jack Wilshere and his body's sort of breaking down on him. I suppose we've got to take our time and get him right. But I'm really disappointed because I like him so much as a player. And we need him. We do. We need him, especially when we're in Europe and that. So he's out. Doesn't say how long he'll be out for. Surely they should have asked him with the next question. On Sean Dyche being appointed Everton manager, I'm going to be honest, I'm skipping that answer. We know what Sean Dyche is. It'll make life difficult, They eat concrete. So I'm not gonna talk about that. Don said, Curtis, I would sell ESR. We don't need any more passengers. I'd give him one more season. I wouldn't just write him off. He's had a bad season. I'd give him one more. He's 22, he's English, he scores goals. I think we have to give him one more year before we start getting into that Because we'd look stupid if we sold him in the summer and then next season he had a great season. And if it will be a tough test mentally tomorrow, I mean, it's obvious. We don't even need to read that. We have the experience in the last few years about how tough. Let's skip it. On how he assesses the January transfer window, he said it's been a really tricky one. But I think in the end it's been a really positive one. I think we had 3 main key areas of positions we wanted to improve and fulfill, and we've done it. In Leo Trossard, we've brought in a player who already knows the league and has performed at a great level, has the versatility we needed, and adds the quality and goal threat, especially after the injury with Gabriel Jesus. With Jacob Kivior, he said he is a young talent with incredible potential that is going to help redefine our way of playing, and we didn't have a backup centre-back for the whole season. Ooh, damn, if you're Rob Holding, damn, that's like a dagger. We hadn't had a backup centre-back the whole season. Just to let him off, I think he means we didn't have a backup left-sided centre-back, but yeah, you know, I like a bit of entertainment, you know. I misbehave a little bit on this channel. He also goes on and says, where are we? And then he says, with Jorginho, he is a player that speaks for himself. When you look at his CV and his playing record and his quality, I think we've made some really good decisions here. He then says as well, we've offloaded 3 players. Sambi needed time and games to develop the talent that he has. And I think Palace, we have found the right club with the right coaching staff. With Marquinhos, he needed minutes. It's going to be a really tough and good test for him playing in that league with a great club. And then he says, with Cedric, he was demanding minutes. It was difficult to promise him. He's a player we all love. It's been a difficult decision to let him go, and we have to respect his will to play. I don't know if anybody's seen, Arsenal are throwing out all these stats about Kivior, saying that Kivior has broken the record for sprints over 40 metres. I think initially it was Thierry Henry. Then Theo Walcott broke the record. And apparently Walcott's had the record for years, over 40 metres. Or is it 40 yards or 40 metres? I'm not sure. But apparently Kivior has broke the record, which I find incredible to think, because he doesn't even look that quick when you see him playing. But maybe, you know, it's them long strides. He's tall. So, yeah, and apparently he jumps really high as well. So, yeah, the statos will be absolutely super excited. You know, I don't really care how quick he runs over 40 metres. Can you defend? That's all I'm interested in. Hector Bellerin was quick. We know how that one went. So, but hey, let's hope he's good when he plays. He could be a big surprise for us. And if there are no excuses for us not winning the league now, if he said, if you want to put it that way, it's fine. What we have to do is train really well and win and play well to win. That's the only thing we can do. We cannot play every player we have in the squad. We have to pick 11 and the subs. Pretty obvious. Nothing groundbreaking there, is it? We're going to pick the 11 players to start and then the substitutes. On if the high level of spending is good for football. He said, well, it is the context that we live in, and on our side, we have the possibility to do certain things. We're always willing to improve the squad. I think this squad is still in a moment. We cannot waste an opportunity to evolve it. Let's skip on how much the team has improved in the 3 years since he watched us draw 0-0 at Everton. He said, it's been a while. A lot has happened. We're in a much better position than we were at the time. We haven't won here for the last few years, so this is the test for tomorrow. We need to win, man. I remember, I think last season was... That was the Damari Gray goal, won it late on in the game. Aubameyang's last game for Arsenal, that was a stinker of a performance. And I remember that Everton at the time, they hadn't won in like 8 or 9 games. We turned up, Santa Claus FC, handing out gifts to everyone, and got beaten up there. We need to beat them this time. It's become a little bit of a difficult stomping ground for us, Goodison Park. We've got to win the game this time. Ryan said, can we recall Balogun? I believe we don't have a recall clause. And listen, he's doing so well over there in France. I think you let him finish the season. Rob Holdinho says, big up, see, I'm about to sign a new 5-year contract. Wouldn't surprise me, man. Rob loves it here. He don't mind. He'll be 10th choice centre-back for the rest of his career. It's no problem for him. And what he likes about Jorginho, he said, his intelligence, his personality, leadership, the way he understands our way of playing, and the quality he has to implement in them in football matches. He's a player who will fit in really well. Listen, I do think he does have a high level of IQ, Jorginho. He was instrumental at Napoli. He's been you look at Chelsea's success, he's been pretty influential in that. Not the most exciting player, but definitely a key element. It's just, I think you got to look, he's going to be a squad player at Arsenal, so I'm not getting too caught up. I'm trying not to anyway. On whether he fits the profile of our recent signings. Project Youth, they said. But hey, he said yes, and then you have to adapt to the circumstances. Obviously, the significant injury to Mo meant we had to have a plan behind him. That probably wasn't the case before the injury, but we have adapted and we have improved the squad, which is what I'm saying. Was interesting. Curtis, you had imbalance. I'm trying, Eros. It sounds as if they wouldn't have signed Jorginho if Elneny didn't get injured, which is really interesting. But anyway, here's what it is. On whether Elneny's contract will be extended, which I've got to be honest, right? And I'm keeping it a buck. I'm not happy with this, right? I'm not happy with this. I understand what people are saying. It's Arsenal. We do things the right way. We look after players, blah, blah, blah. That doesn't always necessarily lead you to titles. You've seen how harsh Pep Guardiola is. A man like Sterling win him the title and then get sold real quick. He said, our way of treating people living together and what we expect from people is to give the maximum. When things are the other way around and things become difficult, I think the club has to behave in the right way. We have some really good examples of that and we have to continue to do that. I mean, listen, I heard a clip where apparently Mikel Arteta was injured at the end of his contract and Arsene Wenger extended it by a year to allow him to recover from injury and sort of leave the club in the right way. I respect it, and as a player, I can understand. As a player, you would absolutely love it. For me, I think Elneny should have been let go. And listen, it's disappointing that he's injured. He's been at the club for a long time. Some would say he's been at the club longer than he should have been at the club. We signed him in 2015. He's been at the club now for 8 years. He's done very, very well to even be at the club for that long, if we're being honest. He turns 31 in July. I mean, I know people saying not big money, 50, 60 grand. I would have let him go. I'm sorry, I would have let him go. This is football, people. This is football. Yeah, you're right, Mikes. Listen, if I was the player, I'm on the other side of the coin. Of course, I want the new contract, but I'm looking at it as a football fan. I want the best for Arsenal. I think giving Mohamed Elneny a new contract is just kind of like you're just keeping him around because he's a nice guy and he trains well. And listen, on one hand, there have been times where Arsenal haven't treated people well. They got rid of 55 staff members during lockdown, and these are people on regular wages. Now, obviously, the club had to make cuts, but was the guy in the club shop saving £250 a week? Was that really going to make a big difference when we signed Willian for 200 grand a week? So, listen. There's times where they treat people great and I respect it. And there's times where I'm like, listen, I think you got to be a little bit more harsh. I really do. It's interesting. You know what? Let's get a poll up. Why not? More polls than a strip club. Would you have given Elneny a new contract? Or no, do you agree with Elneny's new contract? I personally don't. I would have let him go. Because people will say, oh, you're treating him bad, not giving him a new deal while he's injured. But I think he's done very well to be at Arsenal for 8 years, picking up 50 grand a week. But listen, I'll see your opinion. You let me know. While I read through the press conference, let me know whether you agree with it. Personally, I would have shook Elneny's hand. Even if he was injured, I would have said, listen, you can use the club's facilities for rehab. But in the summer, I would have let him go. He's 31 in the summer. We're heading into the Champions League. You've got Partey, who's going to be 30. You've got Jorginho, who's 31. And you've got Xhaka, who's 30. And then you've got Elneny, who's nearly 31. So you've got 4 30-plus-year-old midfielders. I don't know. But anyway, I'll leave you to vote. So he's got a sympathy contract, really, if we're being honest. Because he smiles and works hard. On whether he got the players he wanted in January, he said, I'm really happy with what we've done. For what you plan and what you can actually do in this industry, normally that doesn't happen. You have to mould and adapt. You've done that. And the most important thing is the profile of the person, and the quality that we bring in makes us better. I've no doubt that we have done that. Now, I spoke about this yesterday, right? I think we've had a decent transfer window. I don't think it was a brilliant transfer window. I think it was decent, right? What Arsenal have to do is, because I think Arteta's really letting us know here as well. He said, I'm happy with what we've done, but what you plan and what you actually do in this industry normally doesn't happen. I think we know that Trossard was plan B for Mudryk. I think we know that Jorginho was plan B for Caicedo, although we might have bought both of them, right? If Arsenal are going to win titles, if we're going to go into the Champions League and really try and have a big impact, there has to come a point where Edu is delivering Arteta's plan A. Maybe you can't get 3 players who are your plan A in a January window. It's difficult. But you've got to get one of them. You've got to get 2 of them. You can't say, right, you wanted these 3, but I've got you these 3 who aren't the 3 that you wanted. We saw with Unai Emery, he asked for Zaha, he asked for Fabinho, and he asked for Harry Maguire, funnily enough. They was his 3. We signed David Luiz, Lucas Torreira, and Nicolas Pepe. He didn't, ultimately, there were 3 players he didn't even want. So a manager's always going to have that excuse that, yeah, but I didn't get the players that I wanted, you know? So Edu's got to transform that. We're a big team. We're top of the league. We got money. Clubs want to play for us. You need to be pulling plan A's through the door if we're going to go to where we need to get to. Jashar said we shouldn't have extended Elneny last summer. Listen, I'll be honest, yeah. Last summer even, yeah, I was looking at it like we just missed out on top 4. I mean, Lokonga was the midfielder that... No, Lokonga we signed the year before. We didn't actually really... We didn't sign a midfielder last summer, did we? Yeah. So maybe that's why they gave him the contract. I think if we'd have signed a midfielder last year, we'd have got rid of him. But because we didn't, maybe that's why they kept him. But certainly not this one. Last year we finished 5th. We was in the Europa League. I think it was more justified last season than it is this season, because this season we're going to be in the Champions League next season. Whether we win the title or not, time will tell, but we're going to be in the top 4. We're going to make the Champions League. So I'm looking at Elneny now, like as a 31-year-old, bringing Elneny into the Champions League. I'm just not sure that's the one. The club will say he trains well. He's not going to moan if he doesn't play. He's on 50 grand a week, which is cheap money, and they love him around the dressing room. So it doesn't hinder us that much, but I still just think sometimes you've got to clear room for new players to come in. But anyway, it's not the end of the world, but I would have let him go. I'm not going to cap. I would have let him go. And if, it's finished. The waffle's not even too much. And if Kivior and Vieira will get the minutes they need, he said if they train really well and play really well, I guarantee they will have the minutes. The other guys had the minutes. But to develop sometimes you need to have a different position, a different environment. And sometimes we have to know that. So maybe he's referring to Lokonga there as well and having to go on loan and so on and so forth. Dylan says, not my money, Elneny, but this is your money, Big C. Hey, Dylan, appreciate that, bro. Thank you for your support. Big up to everyone locked in, man. Still got great numbers. 2.5K. Transfer windows closed. But keep it locked. We're still here. Don't forget to follow the Clips channel, Curtis Shaw Clips. Want to get that to 1,000 by the end of this weekend if we can. And don't forget to tune in to the watch along tomorrow, 11:45 a.m. UK time. It's going to be an early one, and let's hope we collect the 3 points and go about our business. And I will probably do the Tottenham Manchester City watch along on Sunday as well. 4:30 kickoff, and of course we are going to be keeping a close eye on that one because we actually could do with Man City dropping points. Hit the likes, people. Hit them likes. Right, we're going to look ahead. And I want to ask you, before we round up the show, about the starting lineup tomorrow. Because this is very interesting. Now, the manager said that Thomas Partey was a doubt, but that he hoped he would play if he trained today. I'm sure they won't reveal the training pictures now because he will want to keep Sean Dyche in suspense. Now, the majority of this team picks itself, and we know that. Majority of this team picks itself. Rambo's in goal. It's interesting, actually. Ben White hasn't played the last couple of games, and Tomiyasu has played well, but I still think Ben White comes back in, just simply because of the season that he's had and how well he's done. Why is it not showing up when you... Maybe I have to type Benjamin. Is it Benjamin? Benjamin White. There you go. You type in Benjamin, you find him. Saliba. I should have just typed this up earlier, shouldn't I? And Gabriel. Oh, Gabriel Jesus on the screen. By the way, did anybody see that foul from Gabriel Paulista yesterday on Vinicius Junior? The man just knocked the ball past him. He just wiped him out, just kicked him over. It was all mad. Now, would you say... Listen, Samuel, I don't like to word it like that. I refuse to word it like that. I don't want Tottenham to win on Sunday. I want Manchester City to lose. That's how I'm wording it. Some will say it means the same thing, of course, but I refuse to word it like that. I want Manchester City to lose. If that means Nando's collect a few points, then so be it. They're nowhere near us. I want Manchester City to lose. That is how I will be wording it, I'm afraid. Zinny at left back. Zinny's on fire, by the way. I think he's having his best spell. Now, Granit Xhaka. The interesting thing is, who plays here? Is it this guy? Or is it Jorginho? I still can't actually get my head around the fact that Jorginho is an Arsenal player. He still looks strange to me in an Arsenal kit. I mean, wow. I got to be honest. I got to be honest. That double... I mean, that's like a turtle and a tortoise playing centre mid together. Against Onana and them man as well in midfield. That pivot... I mean, you could run backwards past that pivot. I can't lie. I think Partey will be all right. So we get Jorginho out of there. You're a super sub, nothing more for me right now. And we'll play you in Europa. Martin Odegaard, the skipper. Armpits in May, people. Armpits in May. Bakayo on the right. Eddie through the middle. And for me, the one question mark, and I want to ask you this. In fact, let's get the third poll. Let's finish the hat trick. Let me end the Elneny poll. That one is close, by the way. So you are split on that. 53% say you wouldn't have given Elneny a new contract. 47% say yes. So quite close there. Who starts left wing tomorrow? Who would you start left wing tomorrow? And this is a tough one. And I tell you why. Because I actually think that Trossard came on against United and did really well. And I thought he was our best attacking player against Man City, especially in that first half. And Martinelli, the two games before that, Tottenham and Man United, he didn't play great. But Martinelli's just signed a new deal. Confidence is going to be high. If we're looking to start the game quick, he's somebody that's quicker, who's probably going to start on the front foot and be a little bit more lively. So would you go with Bossard, a.k.a. Trossardinho, or would you go with Martinelli and just ride the wave of new contract? Who would you go for? I'm a little bit conflicted. I'm not sure. I wouldn't want Martinelli to get dropped and kind of damage his confidence. I personally think he will start Martinelli, because I think if Martinelli didn't play, he would feel like he'd been dropped, and I think Arteta would have that loyalty to him. I just think it's a tough one because, yeah, I do think Everton will set up in a low block. Bossard, then Martinelli to run at tired legs. Martinelli, I'm staying loyal. I hear you. I hear you. I'm conflicted. I find it so difficult to even want to drop Martinelli because that's our guy, man. Trossard's only just got here, so that's a good. Mario saying play Martinelli through the middle. He's not going to drop Eddie, is he? I'm convinced he's his stepson. Gonna Roller, thank you for the super chat. That midfield pivot needed WD-40, bro. A whole heap of WD-40 needed spraying on that Jorginho and Xhaka midfield. They're turning in installments, man. And Amaru said, Big C, I'd go Trossard at left mid. He's electric at the moment. That is a tough one, man. I feel like Trossard has kind of earned the right to play because of how he played against Man City. But he, in my opinion, I think he's going to play Martinelli. I think, he signed a new deal. He's going to have a lot of loyalty towards him. I think he goes with Martinelli, if I'm being honest. It's a shame that Smith Rowe's not available, but then I'm thinking off the bench, we would have Fabio Vieira, Jorginho, Trossard, and then you're looking at the likes of, Tomiyasu and Kivior. So we still don't have a whole lot on the bench, really. But Trossard does give us options. You could move Martinelli central, or you can bring a winger off if Eddie's playing well. Let's just hope Thomas Partey's fit and available, because I've got to be honest, I don't think that's the ideal game for Jorginho to be starting next to Xhaka. Odrid X said Trossard thrives against big teams, not against the smaller teams. That's a good point. Maybe he's better in games with more space. If it ain't broke, don't try and fix it. And Martinelli did start the last game that we won, which was Man United. Goatanelli said Jackham, who said 100%, no point putting a player on almost 200k to chuck him on the bench in a game that will fit his style. Everton's defence is made out of banana peels and soap slipping 24/7. I mean, I don't know who plays right back for Everton. I'm really hoping it's Seamus Coleman, because he's about 57 years of age, and I think Martinelli would get a lot of joy against Seamus Coleman. I'm just looking here. Who played right back in Everton? Everton's last game was a 2-0 defeat against West Ham, and they played Seamus Coleman right wing back. I mean, that was Frank Lampard's last game in charge, so I don't think Sean Dyche will play free at the back. He played Tarkowski, Connor Cody, and Yerry Mina as a back three with Mikalenko and Coman. I got to be honest, Mikalenko at left back, who's a natural centre back, and Seamus Coleman at right back, they should be getting ripped to pieces by our wingers. Saka should rip Mikalenko, and if Coleman's at right back, boy, I'm telling you, Martinelli should be having a field day. So I'm going to stick with Martinelli. He's got the pace. Coleman's at right back. I mean, he runs in quicksand. He's that slow. So yeah, I'm going to go for a 2-1 win tomorrow. Even though I think we can really damage their back four, I just think because of Sean Dyche, because of their organisation, I do think they'll make life difficult for us. They're scrapping for their lives. When you bring Sean Dyche in, you know what he's going to deliver. And I think it will be a good game. Early kickoff. We need to start quick. And if we can score early, I think we can beat them by maybe more. But I'm going to go for a 2-1 win at Everton, just because it's a tricky game. 12:30 kickoff tomorrow. Some of you going 3-0, 3-1, 4-0, 2-0. Joe said, I missed his super chat. Partey ain't the quickest, but he has great positioning. The thing with Partey as well, even though he's not that quick, I mean, you look the other week, though. Look at the ground he made up on Anthony. I know Anthony's not the quickest, but Thomas Partey looked like, he was striding away from him. So he's definitely not the slowest either. 2-0 says Anthony. Ibrahim says 3-0. Early goal and it's a wrap. If we score early, I think we can beat them 2 or 3-0. Chris said, Curtis, would it be weird seeing Everton in the Championship? Yeah, I don't think they've ever been there, have they? And they got a new stadium. Before we go, final story we'll talk about. We're just going to look at the Premier League table. Big weekend in the Prem. As I always say, if your team aren't on this screen, then I apologise. But we out here, you know what I mean? We're at the dizzy heights. Big weekend. Arsenal play Everton. Everton second from bottom. On paper, looks like an easy game, but I don't think it will be. Everton have got 1 point out of their last 15 points available. But Frank Lampard was having a nightmare, and I do think Sean Dyche will make them a little bit more compact. Cookies are not accepted. Chelsea, all of them teams, sorry. We can't see you, my friend. We're a little bit too high. But of course, Manchester City go to Tottenham on Sunday. I'll be doing a watch-along for that as well. 4:30 kickoff. Could be a big weekend. We're 5 points clear with a game in hand. If we can win tomorrow, 8 points clear of City on the same games, and they go to Tottenham, even if they drew the game, you'd be looking at 7 points clear with a game in hand. These are the weekends where it feels like titles can be, they can swing in different directions. If we beat Everton 8 points clear, they're under pressure. If we lose, they can end the weekend 2 points behind us. There's a big difference. But listen, let's hope by about 2:30 tomorrow, we're 8 points clear of Manchester City and we're flying. Reece Nelson back in training as well. Big up to Jay Black for reminding me. What do you think of Reece being fit? He did good each time. I think it's a big 6 months for Reece Nelson. This is a guy that at 18 and 19, they were saying he's the best winger in the youth team, better than Saka. He was the star. England under 18s, they said he's better than Jadon Sancho. You look at the careers that Sancho and Saka have had, and you look at Reece Nelson, I think he's got 6 months to save his Arsenal career. Otherwise, he ends up going and signing for a bottom half of the table team, and his career can just fizzle out. I've always thought Reece Nelson has got ability. It's about production and staying fit. He gets injured. He has one good game, then he has 2 bad games. Then he gets injured. He's a backup player, but he'll get opportunities in the Europa League. So let's hope he can prove himself and stay fit. We need a big squad. Gunnar Roller said, Thomas Partey injury downplayed for deadline day. Jorginho 20 debut. I hope not. I hope not. They could have been doing that, playing it down to make it easier to get a new signing. But let's hope he trains today and he plays tomorrow. Thank you very much to each and every one of you for tuning in. 2,500 of you locked in, 50 of you on Twitch. Make sure you like the video, subscribe. Subscribe to the Curtis Shaw Clips channel as well. Let's get that to 1,000 before the end of the weekend. I will be back tomorrow, 11:45 a.m. UK time. Everton against Arsenal. Let's go and collect our 3 points and put the pressure on Manchester City. Enjoy your Friday, people. Take care, and I'll see you all tomorrow. Bless.